Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled Mayor and Council meeting for the Town of Berlin. It's Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 1 on our agenda is the approval of the executive session minutes from August 8th, 2022.
Is the statement of closure included in the minutes?
It is available on the website and it will be updated to the full packet tomorrow.
No, what I mean is the executive session minutes, does the closure statement, is that included in that approval? Because it needs to be amended.
No, typically the closure is not up for approval. However, because there is a correction,
Okay.
please state what that correction would be.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the minutes and go from there.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes of August 8th, 2022.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect the executive session minutes of August 8th, 2022 passed unanimously with Councilmembers Purnell and Nichols absent. Up next is item number B, the statement of closure for the executive session of August 8th, 2022. So the statement of closure reads that the time of the closed session, August 8th, 2022, is at 6 o'clock p.m. The place and location, the vote was held here in the council chambers, and then we moved over to the conference room for the discussion. Purpose of the closed session was to discuss administrative vacancies. The date and time that we will return back to the public meeting was August 8th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. The motion to go into closed session was made by Councilmember Orris. The second was made by Councilmember Nur. Members voting in favor were Councilmembers Burrell and Nichols, and members absent were Councilmember Purnell. Statutory authority for the closed session, the meeting was closed under the following provisions of the General Provisions Article 3-305B, item number 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or other officials over whom this body has jurisdiction. Any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. The topics that were actually discussed were administrative vacancies. Persons present were myself, Councilmember Burrell, Nur, and Nichols, Acting Town Administrator Mary Boland, and our Human Resources Director Kelsey Jensen, and our Town Attorney David Gaskell. The action taken or recorded vote, motion/approval to appoint a Town Administrator per Mayor Tyndall's recommendation, discussion of employment agreement and consensus regarding terms, discussion of job descriptions and financial impact of mayor's assistant/public information official position. I think that concludes the statement.
There's a correction in that.
Okay, so Councilmember Orris has a correction he'd like to offer to the statement of closure.
Yes, I was present,
Correct.
and also the recorded vote was not listed in this original draft. If I recall, the vote was 3-1, with myself opposing and Councilmember Purnell absent.
Right. So the statement of closure does not include a vote, and it does have you making the motion to go into closed session, so you are recorded as present. And I guess you're talking about down below and the person present for the discussion?
Under number 4.
Okay, so we'll add Councilmember Orris. Okay,
And those are my corrections.
And where should your vote in opposition go?
I believe it should just go under the action taken / each recorded vote box. And it would just be listed as 3-1 with Councilmember Purnell absent.
And the statement reflecting those corrections is uploaded to the website and will be incorporated into the packet tomorrow. If we incorporate it into the packet once it's been sent out, then the link that was sent to everyone will no longer work.
Okay.
But I think we have actually found a way to work around that in the future.
Do we typically include the recorded vote?
We do.
Okay. That's an oversight on my part. All right. Thank you for the correction. Any other discussion regarding the closed session summary? All right. Up next is the approval of the regular session minutes of August 8th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Orris. A second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the regular session minutes pass unanimously. Up next is an announcement regarding administrative vacancies. I'm happy to announce that we are promoting Mary Boland, our acting town administrator, to the position of town administrator. Effective today, we signed the contract this afternoon, just before the meeting. Mary brings over 30 years of experience to the position. I agree with the round of applause from the audience. Mary brings over 30 years of experience to the position, a wealth of knowledge about the town of Berlin and how we operate administratively and across all the different departments. She's also served, we've never quite figured out the exact amount of times that you've served as acting town administrator, but we're happy to have you in the formal capacity as town administrator. And I want to thank my colleagues for their support as well. So with that being said, let's make it official and let's swear the town administrator in. I have a copy as well as I think Kelsey has one.
I put it in there to be signed after. I
Okay,
figured we'd
that's
be
fine.
here, so.
Let's do it up here. All right, Mary, will you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Mary Boland,
I, Mary Boland,
do swear and affirm
do swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and that I will
and that I will
be faithful
be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
Town Administrator
Town Administrator
for the Town of Berlin,
for the Town of Berlin,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll sign the other one. All right. Thank you again. Congratulations. Staying on the same agenda item of announcements referencing administrative vacancies, Kate, if you don't mind just standing for us for a moment. Kate is our new administrative assistant in the administration department, so she'll be working closely with Mary, Kelsey, myself, and other departments in her duties as an administrative assistant. So welcome to the team, and I think the official, let's do a round of applause. The official start date is in September, I believe.
Yes,
So-
it's the 6th, the day after Labor Day.
Perfect. So welcome aboard, Kate, and we look forward to having you.
Kelsey and I are looking forward to it.
Very much needed assistance in the administrative department, so thank you. Kelsey, Mary, anything else to add?
I told her I wouldn't put her on the
Okay.
spot.
Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you.
But yes, we are very excited when happy to start.
All right, up next is agenda item number 3, which is the Community Parks and Playground Grant Application for an inclusive playground, for inclusive playground equipment at Stephen Decatur Park. And our town administrator, Mary Boland, is going to run point on that.
Thank you. This is the inclusive playground item that has been discussed several times in recent weeks. The grant total with updated pricing came to over $1 million, $1,024,940. Of that, we are proposing $55,700 be a cash match. That is primarily what we would pay to the engineering firm for the design work and work up to for permitting and bidding, as well as a recognition sign, which is required by the program, leaving a grant balance that we are requesting of $969,240. And included in your packet are concept pictures. I'm sorry, they're on the online packet, but here on your screens are what the concept of this playground would be. The intent is to make it inclusive for children of many ages and all abilities. And the Parks Commission is very excited to present this grant application. We're very hopeful.
Thank you. We also have the chairman of the Parks Commission and a couple Parks Commission members. Anything you want to add, or?
I think it pretty well says it, everything.
Well, thank you. We
It's
appreciate
a
it.
long time coming, and I know it's been, I ran into one of the mothers that has a special needs child the other day, and she is very thankful.
Thank you.
Actually, Kelsey, go to that next slide that was up. This slide includes pictures of some of the older items that will be replaced under this grant. Some of these items you can actually no longer even really purchase because they no longer meet modern safety standards. Our crews do a very good job of making sure that the playground surfacing, and don't get me wrong, these are not considered unsafe, but they're no longer manufactured. Our crews do a very good job of making sure that the surfacing meets the requirements, but there's a lot of hard metal there.
My kids fight over that horse, that little like bouncy one, because it's the only one that moves. So every time they fight over who gets to use it.
I think they were there when I was a kid.
Some of it probably was, yeah.
So with that being said, the application deadline, I think, is tomorrow at 3?
Wednesday.
What? Okay,
And
Wednesday.
it is electronic, so that won't be a problem to get it submitted.
So with the local fund match, where does that come? What line does that come from?
That will be budgeted for FY '24,
Okay.
and it will be under contracted services under parks.
Okay.
With that being said, we are looking for action from the council this
I'll make
evening.
a motion to approve. Second.
A motion by Councilmember Nur and a second by Councilmember Burrell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the Community Parks and Playground Grant application for an inclusive playground at Stephen Decatur Park passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Up next is agenda item number 4, which is the first reading of short-term rental ordinance amendments, and our planning director, Dave Englehart's going to run point on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You may recall we passed ordinance 2022-06 at the Mayor and Council meeting on March 28th this year, 2022. This text amendment is basically a correction of that ordinance that was passed. The original ordinance, item C under eligible zone, says that short-term rentals are permitted in the incorporated limits of the town of Berlin in permanent residences within the R1, R2, R3, R4, B1, B2, and B3 districts. Basically, all 7 zoning districts where they are permitted at all. That's incorrect. If you remember, the discussion and the motion at the time was, the intent was to make them permanent residences in the R1 and the R2, in our single-family home zoning districts. The other districts are 3R4 and the 3B districts, the business districts. They did not require you have a permanent residence to operate a short-term rental. So the new item C, the Planning Commission met on August 10th and unanimously passed a motion to recommend the adoption, of the text amendment, which is the new item C, and it reads as such. Eligible zone. Short-term residential rentals are permitted in the incorporated limits of the town of Berlin in permanent residences within the R1 residence district and R2 residence district subject to the licensing requirements and regulations contained herein. Rental units within the R3 apartment district, R4 residence district, B1 town center district, B2 shopping district, and B3 general business district are permitted subject to the licensing requirements and regulations contained herein. Rental units in any zoning district must also comply with the requirements for dwelling units contained in the Code of the Town of Berlin, Chapter 108, Zoning, and Chapter 6, Buildings and Building Regulations.
Thank you. Any questions for our planning director regarding the first reading?
Yeah, Dave, I've got a question I'd like clarification on. And the entire time we were discussing this ordinance and pulling it all together, the words that were being thrown around was owner occupied. Okay, that came up constantly. That was the desire of the council. That's what we wanted. The way this ordinance reads, it says in R1 and R2, it has to be your permanent resident.
Correct.
Okay, follow my logic here. If I declare my home on Kenwood Court as my permanent resident, I could basically live there all winter for the 180 required days, move out in the summer and Airbnb it without being there.
That's correct.
To me, that was never the intent. The intent was always that the owner had to be present in the property while there was a tenant.
No,
Otherwise, you haven't done anything. You
No,
can just rent your place to whoever.
the idea of the permanent residence restriction in the R1 and the R2 was that we protect those neighborhoods. You don't have your house and your neighbor's house and the third house on Kenwood Court bought up by a real estate investment company just to have short-term rentals. And the way to ensure that was to have it, like you say, the 180-day restriction
Right.
with the State Department of Assessment and Taxation, the homestead tax credit, that you declare that is your permanent rent. And that requires by state 180 days. And the other idea was, there are people who have a home, a lot of them older people, and they do spend time, I'm going to use a cliche, down in Florida in the winter, or Arizona. And in order to make it possible to keep their home in Berlin, which they want to do, they wanted the ability to be able to rent it out on a short-term rental, or someone on a fixed income who never leaves town, the ability to rent a bedroom or 2 bedrooms in their home, and that is their permanent residence. So that was, to my recollection, the way the discussion went and the way the vote went.
But there's absolutely no owner-occupied provision. Technically, I could own 2 homes in Berlin, put my daughter in one, say that's her permanent resident, and again, live there in the winter, and rent it out all summer long without anyone being there. And I don't think that was the intent. The intent was,
If you have your name on both houses, you have to pick one that you're going to short-term rent.
no, it would be,
How can you have 2 permanent
it would
residences?
be my
You
name
can't.
and her name on the other. I mean,
Then she's the
I'm just
owner
using that
of
as
the
an
other.
example.
Then she's the owner of the other. I have that case right now with one applicant.
You as a property owner can only declare one
I
of these
understand that.
properties as a permanent residence.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I believe there should be language in here that tightens it up to say it needs to be owner occupied. I think we missed that.
I don't recall that being the discussion, but
The
we...
discussion all along was owner occupied. Owner occupied. That means if I'm owning the property, I need to be there while it's being rented. I can circumvent that, the way this is written.
So you're saying if you were to rent your house to me, or part of your house, on a Saturday night, you must be there while I'm
In the
there?
R1 and R2. That was.
You must be there while I'm there?
You need to be, yes.
That was never discussed.
I disagree.
We can revisit it for sure, but that was not the provision, and that was not the intent.
This is first reading, so you can surely make an amendment at our next meeting when we take a vote.
If I may, if that is your intent, there's another section, I don't have it at my fingertips, that refers to the ability of an authorized agent to respond within 30 minutes.
Sure, that's in there.
So that would be not in opposition, but if you're there as the owner, then why would you also need an agent who can respond? I'm just saying, those are
You
the
would
points
be
that
the
need to be
agent.
clarified.
You would be the agent. In an owner-occupied situation.
But then the language that references the ability to respond within 30 minutes is superfluous.
I'm just trying to avoid situations where this could be circumvented. And rentals can still happen in R1 and R2. That wasn't the intent. It just concerns me.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that those nuances need to be clarified.
Right, I mean, where are you guys on?
I recall what Dave had stated, that condition was 180 days, and the item concerning owner having to be present, I don't recall at all.
When I compared this to what was actually passed, the only notation that I changed, or the only change that I noted was the eligible zone. I understand where you're coming from, but
I'm just referring to intent.
yeah, no, I understand.
So then, David Gaskell, if you don't mind, just outline the process for making amendment to what's being proposed here in front of us.
When we come back in 2 weeks, that's when the council will take a vote to either pass, reject, or table, or offer amendments to this. You can do so in writing if you wish to, or you can do it orally at the meeting. I will only add this, that what this text amendment proposes doesn't change what was already in the ordinance regarding R1 and R2.
Right.
I mean, what was passed provided for 180 days and that you declared the principal residence. It did not require the owner to be present whenever it was rented.
And just so that we're clear on, and I think we have indicated on the agenda, there will be a public hearing regarding the changes to the short-term rental ordinance on Monday, September 12th.
So if we have the public hearing on the 12th, and let's just take it a step further and it passes, when does it become effective? Is there?
It should be, I think it's
20 days.
within 20 days. Within 20 days. Yeah.
So assuming all of that goes through, Dave, is your shop ready to go then with the licenses? I know that you stated you had some, but they were holding them.
At this point, I'm not ready to go with them, but
Yeah.
I could be in 20 days, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. My question concerns the apartment district. A homeowner located in the apartment district would be able to rent the Airbnb thing. And that condition of 180 days does not apply.
The way it's presented tonight, no.
And just so we're clear, those districts would be the R3 and R4.
That's correct.
Just so that, I'm just saying so that everybody knows, those are the R3 and R4.
Yes, referred to as the R3 apartment district and the R4 residence district. It doesn't specify the density.
Can I just ask, when we have a public hearing, do we have on the screen a zoning map? Is that-
If Dave can
we-
provide one to me, I can have it available.
Can we just?
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay, any more discussion regarding agenda item number 4? Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Up next is the town administrator's report.
Excuse me, I do not have a whole lot this evening, except thank you all very much for the faith that you put in me. I do appreciate that, and I live up to it. The only other thing really that I have is just a reminder that most town offices are closed on Monday, September 5th for Labor Day. And that is about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our town administrator? Okay, up next are departmental reports, and we'll start with our Economic and Community Development Director, Abby Wells.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
It's that time of the year where I am gathering the event schedule for 2023, working with the Berlin Chamber of Commerce, working with the Calvin B. Taylor Museum, and a variety of other nonprofits for their events. We have included for next year the Labor Day event that's happening this year, so that's on the docket for next year as well as requested. The Main Street Maryland report, worked on that. The asphalt mural next to the Welcome Center has been completed. For the longest time, it was just a yellow swath, and everyone was wondering what was going on with that. But what that did was it covered up. There was a big no parking signs in front of the Welcome Center, and there's so many families that take pictures in front of the mural, and that they're standing right on the no parking, and it wasn't a very pleasant image. So and this is grant funded, we had local artist Jess Hall just paint something attractive so people could stand and get their picture taken. Plus, it was a subliminal way to show that cars can't park there because it does look like a sidewalk. And our hashtag for that, courtesy of Allison, is Yellow Pick Road. Hashtag Yellow Pick Road, so get your picture. You never know what we may do with that. Let's see, so the RFPs for the security cameras and the vehicular modular barriers are out. We have several meetings coming up, Zoom meetings showing us some of the ideas that they have, so stay tuned for more of that. And I've also been assisting Samantha Peelstick with the historic tax credit application for the buildings on Main Street. And I think that's one of the things that's been holding up the construction, because they are applying for historic tax credits for that location. And got final word that Ice Berlin will happen again this year on Friday, November 25th, working with the ice artists and company. So that'll be really, that's always a fun event. And we're also bringing back a laser show for New Year's Eve. And that concludes my report. And congratulations, Mary.
Thank you. Any questions for our Economic and Community Development Director, Ivy Wells? All right, up next is our Planning Director, Dave Engelhardt.
I don't have anything further tonight, but I want to add my congratulations to Mary too, and thanks for all the work you do with all of us.
Thank you. Up next is our Electric Utility Director, Tim Moore.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Commerce Street parking lot, we removed 3 trees. That was the last 3 pair of trees that were in that row. We removed them and then assisted Public Works with grinding the stumps out. I actually received a quote for installation of the underground conduit for the electric to go through that area for lighting and that type of stuff. Powelton Avenue, we disconnected a service for customer side upgrade, Flower Street. We replaced a defective utility pole. Various locations, tree trimming, pole top maintenance, and street light repairs. Franklin Avenue, Verizon building, we had a power outage there at 3:15 a.m. in the morning. And we had the power restored by 4:30. That was pretty quick. That was actually animal related. I don't know what a bird was doing out in the middle of the night.
It was a night owl.
So anyway, that's what caused the outage. Then also, we had meter testing and certification of some new meters that we purchased. Were required by the Public Service Commission to bench test those meters for accuracy before they're installed. So we did that. Then also peak shaving at the power plant. We operated on Monday, August 8th from 1:30 to 8:15 p.m., Tuesday, which was 8/9, 1:15 to 7:15 p.m., and Wednesday, 8/10 from 12:50 p.m. till 6:35, 12:50 a.m. to 6:35 p.m. Next Wednesday, August 31st, we have an employee in the electric department that's retiring, Claude Littleton, 37 years of service to the town of Berlin. So we're going to have a little luncheon as a going away ceremony for him, and that's going to be at 12 o'clock noon at 113 Schoolfield Street. And also I'd like to mention, since there's not a council meeting next week, we're going to be starting meter reading on Monday, August 29th. So we'll be in and out of people's yards and that type of thing. I'd just like to mention that so people are aware that we'll be doing it.
Thank you.
That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions for our electric utility director?
Thank you.
All right. Up next is our chief of police.
We would also like to say congratulations to Mary on her promotion to the position. I believe it was 4 acting times.
Sounds about right.
We also want to jump to the incident that happened last night. We did have a home invasion on Broad Street, approximately 11 o'clock at night. Quick response. Fortunately, the homeowner did the subject forced him out of the house, we'll put it that way. And we are actively investigating that. Worcester Bureau of Investigations taking on that role. We wish to go ahead and thank the Sheriff's Office for assisting us. The Maryland State Crime Team, the unit came out, and Pocono Canine Unit. We want to say really thank you to all the neighbors and everyone that showed interest, plus the ones that actually have given us information thus far. We would add, please do not disseminate information to each other on social media. What we've learned is over a week ago that actually there had some incidents occurring, and the information was just posted and not reported to the police department. Again, if we have anyone within town positions receiving any information, as soon as they can, please respond to us with that information, and we can make personal contact. That's one thing we definitely want to do, is speak directly to the victims face to face and get the information that we need to further investigations. Press release has been put on our Facebook page, has been released out to the press. It's not going to be a whole lot more information going out from us. It will be going out from the Worcester Bureau of Investigation. And a description is not given because we don't have enough information to push that out at this time. That is my report.
Thank you, Chief. Can you just share the non-emergency number? Everybody knows 911, but just the non-emergency number for the police department.
It is 410-641-1333.
Thank you, sir.
And again, dial 911 and stay on the phone. That's all we, can really push to everyone. Again, regardless of what's going on, stay on the phone until the officer gets there.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Any questions for our Chief of Police? All right. David Gaskell, anything to report?
I have nothing to report, but I'd like to congratulate Mary as well.
Thank you.
Up next is our Finance Director, Natalie Slay.
Good evening. Thank you, Mary, for stepping in and accepting the position, and congratulations. We continue working on the previously started projects, closing the fiscal 22 and getting ready for the audit. It's coming up September 12th. Full crew is going to be here. So the preparation for the audit requires a lot of reviews and closing journal entries, review of the bonds and outstanding balances, as well as all of that outstanding balances for utility and miscellaneous, reconciliation of check registers. They also do a random sampling of all the expenses and invoices, so we will receive a list of randomly selected transactions, and we have to provide all the documentation in paper to them for review. September 1st, we will be implementing new water and sewer capital service fee and stormwater rates increase will be implemented September 1st. With that along, we will be creating additional bank account. That fee will be set aside for the future capital projects for the water and sewer capital improvements or expansions. And will add additional restructuring in the fund itself within the general ledger. We're working on the BCA rate submission and reports for Public Service Commission. We had a phone conference and discussed some details and somewhat a plan in place for going forward with the electric utility rate study with Booth and Associates. That's going to be an ongoing project for fiscal '23. We also have our bi-weekly department meeting where we discuss scheduled projects and plan for the next week. Eventually, I don't have a date, but we will be converting to full integration with Styler to process all of the credit cards. Right now, we have a third party in place, and the transaction fees that are assessed online for conducting the processing of credit card when the customer log in and pays should go away once we're fully integrated with Styler. That will also give us an option to allow people to call in, dial in, and be rerouted to a secure automated system where the customer will input the credit card information and be able to pay the bill online, over the phone, online, and also coming to the customer service register. We will still not accept the cards over the phone being punched through if a person dials. What else I have here? That's pretty much all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Natalie, how long does the audit take?
Initially, they were on for a full entire week, Monday through Friday, on site to do kind of like a heavy lifting, testing everything, review everything. And then it will take another week after all, compiling everything. And then they go back to their office and work on the reports. And if they need something, we just scan in and send it or discuss over the phone or email. But normally it takes a good 2 months till we get a draft. So normally we would get a draft, like I would say November, and by the end of December they will come here on site to discuss the draft and review and then issue the finalized audited statements.
Thank you for your work with, or your department's work with the credit card statement, or credit card processing fees, I should say.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for our finance director?
Natalie, can you, excuse me, can you remind everyone watching and everyone listening what the new fees are that are taking effect September 1, if you have that on your, I think it's about $27 additional.
For the water and sewer, it's a fixed fee.
Right.
It will be called a capital service fee. It will be different from commercial. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. But the stormwater will be calculated according to the ERU for commercial, how many they have on each site. But residential will go to double. So right now it's at $50 per year. It will go to $100 per year. That's residential.
Thank you.
But we will put a message before it goes into effect. We will put a billing statement message as well.
Thank you. Up next is our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham.
I'm going to be like everybody else. You couldn't have picked a better person. Mary's awesome to work with, and I'm glad she got the role. And Mary, it's been a pleasure working with you, and hope we have many more days. I can come up there and aggravate you some more some days. I'll keep mine short. We had 2 water leaks last week, one on William Street, one on Bay Street. Held an interview for stormwater labor. He actually started today, so that was a huge success. We're down to, I think, no positions. Flood monitoring well samples and provided toilets for the Peach Festival and concert on the museum, concert on the lawn at the museum. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham?
Go ahead. Jamie, I was wondering if you can give us an update on the Broad Street lift station RFP.
We are already started on the process of that. We have to get the survey done of the properties first, so we know what we have to work with first before we can go really to do the design and the build. So we're getting that done, and hopefully we'll have something within the next couple of weeks, because Natalie gave us the account numbers we can use it out of until we receive the rest of our ARPA money. So hopefully we should start moving pretty fast here. I mean, yes, we've had a lot of stuff with DBF going on in town. We've had the William Street bid the street and the comfort stations at Steve Decatur Park, and they've been working on some other projects for the town. So once they get them, some of that stuff caught up and finalized, we'll start pushing hard on Broad Street. And also, we're hoping to have the well 3 online in the next 2 to 3 weeks and try to get it in preparation for the other stuff coming in September.
Jamie, in the event that Broad Street lift station should fail, is there a contingency plan in place to resolve it or deal with it?
I have an idea, but that's just what I would do. If it happened electrically or anything internally that it was not worth fixing, I would look at renting a pump. And then everybody's like, I don't want a pump in my backyard. Well, the new Silent Pack pumps, I mean, we talk louder than what they sound, and we could put one of them there for, for short term. But it shouldn't be the biggest design's going to be is the wet well because of the constraints of the property. The wet well is going to have to be redesigned because it's a 1940 construction. So we're going to try to build a new one in front of the old one is what our plans are, or the engineer's plans. I mean, I have some input into where I think what we should do, but we're going to try to keep the same concept as what we did on William Street. So it's a package unit, but the wet well is going to have to be built in place. So it's going to be, Broad Street's going to be a mess when we start. One is because it's so limited on lot size, and there's probably going to be some lane closures and pickups in the road, but I don't know what else to do. We don't own much property down there to park stuff.
So what is your, hypothetical, your idea? What is that costing?
You can rent them pumps fairly reasonable, as in for emergency if something happened. It'd probably be less than $1,000 a month. But that's just a Band-Aid, and we really don't want that. So I mean, we're trying to keep it held together with the Band-Aids, and so we can keep moving forward.
Now, just to clarify for everybody, the pumps would only be needed in the event of a failure.
Yes. We're not just going to go rent a pump and stick there and everybody get all upset. No, that's only if there is a failure.
In the event of a failure.
Yes.
And
I mean, it'll hold for what we need. And we're coming into the wet season, and that's the only other thing that scares me is we're limited on space there too.
So am I correct, Natalie, that we have received our second ARPA?
Correct.
Okay.
now, the other thing is, Jamie just mentioned, and to Councilmember Morris's point about the water and sewer capital fees. You just said that the station's 1940s, 82 years old. So we're dealing with a lot of older infrastructure. So I think the point that sometimes is missed in the fees is that we're dealing with a lot of aging infrastructure, and the saving grace has been ARPA, but that is going to run out.
A lot of people don't understand too, a lot of the piping in town is terracotta. Average life expectancy of terracotta pipe is 50 years. A lot of the piping in town is, the main sewer line is 1935 going to the plant.
The main source.
So,
Yeah, and that just, I don't want to go off the rails here on this, but that just kind of makes me a little concerned because these capital fees were, by our consultants, were to be interim. So I'm really kind of hoping that these smart meters now are gonna help out with this so that these interim fees can truly maybe stay interim.
Were they interim? I don't think so. In the
Oh, I'm
report,
pretty
there a
sure
recommendation.
I'm pretty sure, yes, there was a recommendation for an interim capital fee.
The interim was recommendation to restructure and rethink the rates of actual water sewer services.
Okay.
Not the fee.
Not
The capital
the
fee was a
capital.
recommendation.
The capital fees recommendation to set aside as a reserve, capital reserve for the future project and expansion.
And to improve the lending position of the fund.
I'm not going to belabor the point.
No, but I think it's sometimes missed. Thank you, Jamie.
One
And
other
thank you.
thing to add just to the discussion of the age of that infrastructure. Berlin is not unique. This is a situation that many towns and cities throughout the country, we had a heyday 40 or 50 or 80 years ago of building infrastructure, and we're now all kind of dealing with that.
Well, thank you, Jamie, we appreciate it. And I don't think you were here for our last meeting, but there was a favorable financial report. I texted you, but I just wanted to call that out publicly again. A very favorable closing for FY '22 for the Water Resources Fund.
He's aware.
I know, but it's not, as much as we've talked about the other side of that equation, I think it goes with saying a second time, so good job. Up next is our Public Works Director, Jimmy Charles.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you.
We rented a stump grinder last week, and with the assistance of Claude from Electric, we did 8 stumps in Decatur Park, and then the 3 in the Commerce Park. Paving contractor started last Monday. They did Decatur Street and Graham on Monday. On Tuesday, they milled Stevenson Lane, and they also paved Stevenson Lane on Tuesday. That helped with the food bank on Stevenson Lane, which is on Wednesday, so we avoided that congestion on Wednesday. They came back and paved Decatur Street on Wednesday of last week, and Graham, it was scheduled for today, but I think the weather kept them out of the area. But I expect them to be here tomorrow morning to do Grand Street. That'll complete the streets, and then projected after Labor Day to do the parks. That piece of machine is rented, and they don't want to be, we don't want it there in the park.
It takes a slightly different piece of machinery than the streets.
We were power washing the playground equipment at Stephen Decatur. Cody and the boys were out there doing a great job cleaning that up and making that playground equipment dirt and free, and they did a great job with that. So,
Cody and the boys.
and then, the last, then we've been working around Town Hall too. They're painting some offices downstairs, cleaning in here, vacuuming, wiping down tables, so utilizing their talents.
And then we'll be leaving soon. They do
Yes.
a job.
Their potential last day is next week, or this Friday, actually.
Yeah, I think
Although I tried to get them to come one day next week.
they may help with some events as well, so I'm not gonna get rid of them yet, but we might see if we can use them for some weekends
Yeah.
if they're available, so.
Very nice. Can we take that image and put it on social media too? I think that's a pretty good one. Any questions for our Public Works Director, Jimmy Charles?
Yeah, just one, Jimmy. Can we, is it possible to get, there's large, just rut holes in front of the cardboard recycle down there at Heron Park. Can we just, is there a way to like just fill that with gravel or something?
Sure, we'll check it out, and we'll take care of it. Is it in right along the dumpster?
Yeah, it's like right,
We'll go ahead and take care of that, we'll sort it out.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't burn out.
All right, up next is our Human Resources Director, Kelsey Jensen.
I'll be quick. I have told Mary, but I'll say it publicly too. Congratulations. So we're excited to work, so closely. So we held several interviews over the last few weeks. We have hired Marcus Pitts back as the spray site operator. Tyree Adams, he used to be a seasonal employee. He is now a full-time employee for stormwater. And then we have hired Kate Daub as the administrative assistant. So both Marcus and Tyree have already started back. Tyree was today and Marcus was last week. And then Kate will start on the 6th. We're excited to have her join us. So, and then the only other thing really I'm trying to work on now is the Chesapeake Employers Insurance Workers' Comp audit. And I've asked Natalie, she sent me over some information that PKS will need from me for the audit. So I'm trying to work on pulling that stuff together over the next couple weeks. So before they get here. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Any questions for our Human Resources Director, Kelsey Jensen? All right. Thank you all. Up next is comments from the council, and we'll start with Vice President Burrell.
I just have one comment. I read in the newspaper that that from the summary of our closed meeting, I made the motion to approve Murray as town administrator. And then I just want Murray and the public to know that all the motions that I have made to approve recommendations from the mayor, because this was a recommendation from the mayor, I found this motion one of the most satisfying I have ever made.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Murray, I just want to say welcome to the position that you have had for a while, and finally being recognized for your work for the town of Berlin and its citizens. It is greatly appreciated, and on behalf of those citizens, we thank you.
Thank you.
You brought us here tomorrow.
That was really good.
Thanks.
That means a lot.
Up next is Councilmember Nur.
Wow. Well, I'm not going to break the trend. I'm just going to say congratulations, Mary.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on board as town administrator.
Up next is Councilmember Orts.
Well, congratulations, Mary.
Thank you.
I look forward to continue working with you in your new capacity. I just also want to, just real quick, publicly, I did email Chief, but I want to publicly give him a shout out and his force and Worcester County partners, but Chief specifically for today's activities. Everyone that I spoke to complimented you and your professionalism and calming demeanor, and we're very fortunate and appreciative to have you as our police chief. So I want to publicly thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
And on those same veins, when I was talking to some of our neighbors, on the Broad Street area, just as a form of communication, as an idea, we're all close. We're close to the community. When things like anything happens, kind of like a mini code red alert that goes out. If you are comfortable with your neighbors, maybe a suggestion is just get their phone numbers, their contact information to start like a local neighborhood call down tree. Not just for events like this, but if there's a dog that gets out or a pet or anything like that. Just a little recommendation for emergency planning. And that was all. That's one of my comments. So thank you again, Chief.
Thank you. Up next is comments from the mayor. I think we'll just give you one more round of applause. Thank you. That concludes my report. Comments from the public. Okay, we got a couple hands, so let's start. Okay, however you want to go, just name and street address or who you represent.
Certainly. My name is Melissa Reed, and I'm here for two purposes. The first purpose is as president of the Taylor House Museum. And first of all, I need to say thank you so much to the guys at Public Works. Without you all, we wouldn't have picnic tables and porta potties and things like that we really need for Peach Festival. So thank you very much for that. This event has really grown. We are fortunate to have this event. And the only thing I'm going to say, aside from the thank you very much, is we feel very strongly that during the Peach Festival, as opposed to other events in Berlin, that we would really like to advocate for the street to stay open. I know there's a concern about that, and I understand the traffic back and forth, but it is our largest fundraiser, and it is something that did originate at the Taylor House Museum. And we have concerns if the street gets closed off, that will cut off the flow of people back and forth from the museum to the town. So on behalf of the whole board, we're asking, or suggesting, however you want to word it, that we please keep the street open. That will help us. Like I said, that is our biggest fundraiser, and we feel such an integrated part of the town that we want to keep being able to do the things we do, and we need the money from the fundraiser. So we are respectfully asking that continue on the practice of the street staying open. Now I'm going to take off my museum hat and put on my residence hat. I do live at 212 Broad Street, and I have to say publicly that this town is incredibly lucky to have Chief Downing. He's been an emotional day on Broad Street, and he was incredibly professional, as he always is, and I think Chief Downing represents the best as a community police officer, and I cannot thank him enough. And having said that, I think that the other thing I would like to say publicly is it is imperative that mayor and council work together to provide Chief Downing for what they need to make sure the Berlin Police Department can do what they need to do. Because we were fortunate to have them last night, and we would like to make sure, I would like it to go on the record that it's important the Berlin Police Department get the staffing they need to do what they need to do. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we do understand that something like that is scary, so we do have great resources, but I've lived here my entire life, you have as well. There was a day when you could, I'm not saying this is the case, but there was a day in Berlin where you could not lock your car. There was a day in Berlin where you could not lock your front door. I remember those days, but do your diligence and lock your cars and lock your doors. It's just one extra step that may save some time. So, thank you. I think we have one more from the audience, a couple more.
I have sent you guys a letter in regards to requesting a change of ordinances, and I was wondering where you stood on that, if you had questions, concerns. Do you think we can get in front of planning and zoning?
So I believe your concern was in relation to pets and leashes, correct?
No, my concern is in regards to our written ordinances, that they are too constricting in the fact that they list constantly in the articles, mainly canines.
Correct.
They not open the door to what people consider domestic animals now. I had made a joke saying next thing you know you're going to see pigs, and then I literally did, like I'm not even exaggerating, a baby pig walking down my street with their owner. So I'm just saying that with the restrictiveness of the language, people make the assumption that it only pertains to dogs. And after doing all the research that I've done, you know, Salisbury is the best. They said mammal, pretty much anything with lungs, you know, and I just think that we have two parts in there that are more inclusive, but anyone just reading those as written think that no other animal applies. And I think lately we have seen that other animals on your property is great, but someone else's pursuit of happiness might not include fur babies pooping in their garden or whatever. So I just think we need to broaden it. After doing the research I've done, Worcester County has so far the best ordinances. They also, after a lot of back and forth, they actually have some really good animal cruelty and shelter laws in place that I couldn't find anywhere on our books. Now, granted, we may not have needed them, but I think that if we can just adopt Worcester County's language, it would be a great asset to the town. It would be a great asset to neighbors. Like, you don't have to feel like you're like, hey, you got to keep this because it says it. You know, and then it would give the chief also the opportunity if you came to animal control or the police department, because right now, they don't really have a recourse. And like the smoking ordinance, he's not going to have police officers out there to bust people smoking in the park. But if you have someone who is causing a problem or there's an issue, now his police officers do have the ability to cite this ordinance and say, you can't do this. And that's what I'm looking for the changes in Berlin on their animal ordinance. We need to become friendly to all people and also realize that all rules apply to anything that's a mammal, not just dogs. So I didn't know what your thoughts were.
Thank you for that. And I think it's definitely something that we need to consider. And if our code is silent on some of those things, then maybe it's worth reviewing and taking a look at. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yes, Gino, so thank you. You and I have been talking about
Yes.
this, but it was a very, first I want to say thank you because it was a very thorough email and very informative. And
Thank you.
whatnot. I don't know, I think that this is a worthy discussion for our planning commission. So I would encourage I don't know the process for this, so I don't think we have to make a motion, but. Do we have to make a motion?
What is the process?
Mayor and Planning Director right there.
Okay, so what do we do?
The mayor and council refers it to the planning commission for review and examination, research.
So does that need to be a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion that we refer this matter to the planning commission for their consideration and discussion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orris and a second by Councilmember Nur to review, or to refer the suggestion of evaluating our ordinance as it relates to animals on leashes to the planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the referral passes unanimously.
Can I actually clarify that? I'm not
Yes.
asking you to have animals on leashes. I'm asking you to actually mimic the Worcester County ordinances so that they include all animals, also the protections of those animals for shelters and stuff. So I'm asking us to adopt the Worcester County language or their rules.
So the referral will be for them to evaluate those. We
Yes.
can't ask them to pass them. We can ask them to evaluate them. So thank you for that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's not just about leashes.
No, it's the discussion of the entire topic
Yes,
for the commission.
thank you, Ann.
Thank you. Thank you for your email and thank you for bringing this up. Up next, yes. Just name and street name and street names. It'll become habit after a while. So used to asking for a street address.
Let me give a better address. Mary Hidleski, 3 Westminster Drive. And I know we've discussed this before, but my concern's on West Street. And last week, it just got to a point where I walk early in the morning and you see a lot of the same people walking early in the morning. And one of my neighbors was jogging and we were almost like across from each other. And if he would not have been paying attention, or if it would have been a child or a stroller or a dog, a van almost hit him. He literally had to jump out of the way. So what I did, God give me strength, is that I posted it on Facebook just to try to get some ideas back. And a lot of people came back with some really good ideas. And I understand like things like sidewalks. I do know now that there are grants available, there are school projects and pedestrian and bike, grants and that kind of money that's out there. I also know that with the new school being started and with the stormwater problems we have on West Street, that kind of puts us in a different, it wouldn't just be us applying for a grant. We've got other obstacles to deal with. I also looked into speed bumps and speed humps. Got way too much information on that. I found out that they're very expensive, and they're expensive to maintain, and that a lot of people don't like them. There's a lot of problems with them, with slowing down emergency vehicles, with causing damages just to cars going over them. So what I did, instead of sitting here keeping everybody all night, was that I made a list of the suggestions that were made. And then I did some research. I couldn't find anything negative on sidewalks other than the cost of it. But some information that I found on speed bumps and speed humps that if I could leave with you all, and you could take a look at it, some of the suggestions that came in were pretty simple. Were like, painting reflective paint, like for crosswalks or where the stop signs are. Or just, I know that we've been talking about putting in some kind of a walking or a bike path or something like that. And realizing that, some people were saying don't let anybody park on Washington Street at all. And I get whatever anybody comes up with, someone's gonna have a problem with it. You take the sidewalks or using the town's, right of way or easement or whatever it's called, but you're taking it from somebody's front yard. So, but I wrote some stuff down that I'll leave with you guys. If you could please take a look at it. I really like that neighbor, and I would hate to, as I said, it was kind of scary. And one other question, since the park has been voted on and the all-inclusive park is a go, can we now say the skate park's #1 priority?
I think it's still on the priority list for the study. It's still a study.
For the study and to go forward and...
You can call it whatever you would like.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's something that like, being put on Worcester County with their parks and rec, their projects and all that kind of, that it's all looked at, that it's all still.
We're still intending to pursue that fully, so thank you. And if you don't mind, the list, please make sure we get that.
Oh,
and then-
yeah, I got it,
okay.
I got it.
And then our town administrator will scan it and make sure we get copies.
Oh, I got a copy, I need a copy. so-
You're prepared. Thank you, we
Yeah, I
appreciate
know,
it.
I'm ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so that you're aware, West Street has been a topic of discussion for a while regarding the underlying infrastructure as well as the increased safety for pedestrians and bicycles. So it is something that we're looking at, but we're looking at it holistically in conjunction with the stormwater concerns. So our engineers are working on what those numbers would look like, and there are some stormwater projects that we're working through the grant process for. So if we can add sidewalks to those things as we move forward or address some of the infrastructure, we want to do those things.
Some of the grants, well, the one grant that I found was the sidewalks. It's like within the 2-mile radius of the school. And this comes through the state of Maryland. But with the new school being built, I don't know if sidewalks are a part of what they're planning.
That I don't know either, but we do have a contractual grant writer and services that we have available, so we can ask them to look into those things as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? All right. Up next, comments from the press.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 8:10. Or 8:07. Thank you.
There's some stuff in there that needs a.
I'll be just got back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sent these, I didn't even get to read it.
Oh, don't read it, actually, don't read it because I read it anyway. So I read it.
Resend me what you
Okay. And by the way,
Miss Aldesky.